Hello, class. This is Cam Addis, your Austin Community College history instructor. I just want to give you a brief video where I talk about some of the tips for success I have. I call it the toolkit because there's a variety of things I want to toss in here. I'm going to share my screen here and go over and look at a few of these. The first of them is something that applies really to those of you in all formats. If you're in the face-to-face format and you're trying to just read the textbook on the phone, I think it's better to get a computer. But also, more importantly, if you're in the ONL format, then and you don't have a device that you can take the exams on with Respondus Monitor, then I want you to know that you can rent this sort of device. This is a student technology access page here. There's a little robot you can talk to down here if you have questions. But the reason I bring it up here today is to look at the borrow technology page over here. And you can see information there on the iPad loaner program, which is very good. So none of you need to go without a computer if you don't happen to have one right now. Another thing I wanted to bring up is having a tab open for a dictionary. There are various online dictionaries. I happen to use Webster's dictionary because Noah Webster goes all the way back to the 19th century, part of American history. But any sort of term that you come across in the textbook, that way, if it doesn't happen to already have a link to a dictionary, then you can just look it up. And you don't want to just be reading through words and feeling like you maybe need to know that term in order to understand a sentence or a concept, and then just skip by it. So you can they got word of the day down here usually, but you can put any term in here. Let's say you see the word OG. You don't really know what it means. It seems to be somewhat of a slang term. You can see here, okay, someone or something that is an original or an originator. Talks a little bit about the etymology or the background to the term. And then maybe there are other meanings. You can go down a little further. It talks about original gangster also being used with OG. So you can put any term in there. And I would advise having that up as a tab. Another tab that you might want to have up would be Google Earth. And this is part of the suite, which you, of course, have with your Gmail account. But it takes usually, maybe 5 seconds or so to pop up on your computer, depending on your memory and the age of your device, but usually comes up pretty quick. One of the things you want to do with Google Earth is go over here under the settings and, oops, not those settings there. Let's see, you want to come over under map style, excuse me. And then you can customize it a little bit. For instance, what we're looking at right here would be fine for weather because it has clouds, but you might want to take clouds off of it if you're just using this basically for historical purposes. So you can go down here, you can make it a little bit bigger. You can spin it here, and you can just spin it with your arrows on your keyboard rather than using the pointer if you want. But really for both 1301 and 1302, I mean, you want to stay situated in both time and space. So I talked about the importance of this earlier, about maybe having a timeline or having a concept of where we are in time. Even though I'm never going to come ask you on a test, hey, what year did something happen? It's really important for causation and cause and effect to sometimes know the order that things happened in. Likewise, geography is very important. It doesn't make sense to you unless you know where it is we're talking about. If I'm saying, hey, they had a decision, Franklin Roosevelt decided to move the U.S. Navy, from San Diego out to Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. Why did he do that? Why did they even have a naval base in Pearl Harbor as opposed to, say, the Aleutian Islands, if the main purpose of this base was to protect interests in Asia? And we got Japan over here and China over here. Well, maybe it was weather related in Alaska, or maybe they were looking at a flat map rather than a globe, in which case the world looks very different. because flat maps really distort the Earth, especially at the North and South poles. The further up and down you go away from the equator, the more it's extending it out artificially. So 1301, we talk all about the impact on the European Renaissance from East Asia, from the Middle East. We talk about African interaction with the Portuguese and why it was that the Portuguese decided to come around and go to Asia this way rather than the overland routes here. So regardless of which section you're in, you're going to be talking a lot about geography. So I definitely advise that. Now you can always go over also and just home down into whatever it is you're confused about or you're wondering where it is. I try to have a lot of maps in the textbook, but sometimes I might not. Let's just put in Barton Springs, Austin here, place, oops, that many of you are familiar with. And well, I can't seem to spell today. There we go. And it'll just kind of gradually just zoom right on down there. Get you up a little bit closer, give you kind of a street view, give you different angles, things like that. There's really nothing in our textbook that you can't do that with. So it matters where things happen, just like it matters when things happen. In terms of the chronology part, we're going to do some chronologies in the face-to-face courses, but also I encourage all of you, especially in History 1301, that first unit of History 1301 covers a very wide expanse of time. So we're going to be covering many centuries. You might want to have a horizontal sheet of paper with a timeline just to kind of orient yourself a little bit. Same with geography. So know where you are in time and space. Now, you might have laying around your house just a traditional globe. That also be very helpful. And then finally, I want to close today by just encouraging you to use a calendar. Here again, you can use a a hard copy calendar is fine, but it's a little bit easier to move things around if you have a digital calendar. This happens to be the one that goes with the Gmail suite here. But let's create an event. Let's say we're going to study history. I usually go down and it sometimes pops up whatever time it is. And when you happen to be entering it, I don't really care about that. So I'll just put that over here. But you can even do some sort of responsible procrastination. If something pops up and you can't study that day, then that's one good advantage of the digital calendar is that you can just move things around then. And that way you're not losing track of it, even if you have to do it at a different time. And then, of course, we got all kinds of different options over here with the month, the day, the year, and everything else over there. So what I would do is early in the semester, I think this will really help you as a key to student success, is I would go in and plot all of the due dates for all of your assignments for every course you're taking. You might even want to combine that calendar with your work calendar. Some people might just do one calendar overall and put their personal stuff in there as well. So anyway, I encourage you to do any of those things. I think they're very helpful. That's all I have for you today. So I hope you're enjoying yourself out there wherever you are. And feel free to contact me with any questions you have about any of this or anything else in the course. Thank you very much. Goodbye.